It's your boy Conserviz34, and that was just a little teaser of what went down in Charlottesville, Virginia this weekend for Cville Night 2, Dave Matthews Band. This is the final leg of the tour that I am going to review because it's the final leg of the tour. It will be just winter in a couple days, and we'll be as close to the sun as possible in a couple days. So that's it. The fall tour is a wrap. A lot of different videos I posted on Twitter. Thank you for all those who have followed me on Twitter, have checked out those videos, have interacted with me, whether you agree, whether you disagree. I love the exchange. I love to be educated. I love to give my side of things. I love people to give their side of things. And that's what I've been doing on Twitter. Shout out to my boy, Typical DMB, who just sent me this out of the kindness of his heart, a little Conserviz34 artwork. I appreciate that. Is going to be on this video as well. Check out at Typical DMB. Again, shout out to John Dix, my guy. I mean, I just started talking to him in the last couple of weeks, and he's been schooling me on some of the old DMB concerts he's been to, giving me some of the older shows and things like that, schooling me on what it was like to go see DMB back in the day. And I really appreciate that education. I'm always willing to learn and hear people out, and also sharing some videos. He sent me some videos of Charlottesville this weekend, going to Miller's, going to some other different events after the shows, and I really appreciate that. We're going to talk about this last leg of the tour. I want to just go quickly by a lot of the shows first, but I had to wear my Philadelphia Flyers jersey because I am a Flyers fan who lives in Connecticut. Long story, but this player, Keith Primo, was on the Whalers. I went to the last Whalers game, and Sammy Kapanen was on that team too, Paul Coffey too, and a lot of those players had, Kevin Dineen had different interactions with the Flyers before or after that last season, me being in there as a 6.5-year-old, falling in love with hockey at that game, and then my team left. Long story short, go Flyers. And this part of the tour starts off in Philly. South Philly, one of the best sports complexes, one of the best entertainment complexes in the country. You have a lot of big shows out there at Wells Fargo, like DMB. You have a lot of shows at Lincoln Financial, the Link, there that you have some of these country artists. Kevin Hart sold, I don't know if he sold it out. I mean, you could debate that. But he filled up Lincoln Financial Field, one of the biggest comedy events ever. So I love going down to South Philly to watch the Sixers and the Flyers here. But Philly is the first show. And obviously the big thing with Philly is the PNP into Lying Our Graves. That was Philly's shining moment. And that is something, again, that I like from the band. It's not two-step into Halloween. It's not a fake into one song like Trippin' Billy's into Halloween, or, whatever. They've done a couple of things. But it was one segue into a song they never had segued into, which is Lying Our Graves. That's what I like from the band. There was a shock and awe moment for the fans there. If you listen to the recordings and the people taping on social media with their phones, they're all like, okay, yep, we're going to get done. Da, 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 da. Nope, just kidding, Lying Our Graves. That is a keystone moment of this tour, just to show you as far as what's realistic with this band that can make people be surprised. I want to talk, because there is a lot of talk about John Dix. Yeah, you're on my guy. So he's on. John Dix is commenting here as well. It'd been epic to see. I want to talk about the repeats, because this is something that, again, has been brought up with the band. It's always brought up with the band, but it's always been a part of the band. But, to be fair, I have to be fair and say that there's some abnormal amount of repeats for this portion of the band's history. Washington had 10 songs that were played in Philly. That's half of the set. Was played the show before in Philly. Charlottesville, night 1, you have 11 repeats, and John Dix is saying that's inexcusable. Now, these are above normal for what DMB will repeat in this era. In the 2000s era, in the early eras, it was a little different because they only had so many songs. But that is above average, and that is somewhat of a criticism. I think it is, but here's the thing that I've said is, well, and here's the thing, John, about that proximity of venues. I warned people at the beginning of this tour. I said, don't chase this band like you do in the summer. Do not chase this band like you do in the summer. because I had put examples of 2010 of how many songs were repeated. I think there were 7 or 8 Nassau Coliseum from either there to Nassau or Nassau to like Boston or something. If you look at the winter tours, you are going to get a lot of repeats. Unless it's a 2 night stand, the band is gonna play a lot of those. Yeah, the first four, but here's the thing, John. You should know this. The one thing about this band is DMB. Look at 2010, summer 2010. I always talk about my friend Pete, who was at the show for Hartford. The band does whip out a lot of songs for the first night or two, and then they say, you know what? Well, we can't maintain these songs. We want to master these songs, and we're going to keep it the same. Look up the history of DMB. Look up the 2010 tour. Look at some of the other tours where they start off in Houston or Dallas or somewhere out there, or even when they've started, they've started in Columbus, Ohio. I think one of the years before the Houston and Dallas was like always. It's now in a lock as the first weekend. Look at the first weekends of shows. Dave and his crew gets ambitious of releasing stuff, but they're I mean, this is not, and this is just how they are. They like to master every song. Okay, so 2010, my friend goes, he gets JTR, he gets all these liberations. Some of the songs sounded, if you just critique it from how it sound, they were not 100% perfect, but they were rare songs. People were going nuts. You're drinking, you're drunk, you're smoking something, you're doing other stuff. You're with your girl in the lawn under the blanket. That's how Hartford, that happens in Hartford all the time. Not as much as used to, but the point is, you are in the moment, but the band is like, look, I can hear myself loud and clear. I'm listening to the soundboard audio, and it doesn't sound good, and they cut back a little bit. Now, Break Free is not a hard song to play, but that's how Dave is. And you have to respect that. And one of the things of this video is, check what I say. This is from a hip hop thing. This is what they say in hip hop. Check the receipts. A lot of these rappers are saying that. But check the receipts of the history of this band. Now, again, you can criticize them. Philly to Washington 10, Philly to Cville 11. That's more than normal. But there's been fall tours where they've repeated 5 or 6 songs in 2012 and 2010 from the previous night. And I told people, just go to one show, call it. That's what I did at Mohegan. I went to one show, called it a day. I was thinking of going to Boston. I almost contradicted myself, and I'm glad I did it. Now, again, hey, someone gives me a free ticket, I'm going. And the tickets are cheap, but I went with my girl to Maxwell, and I couldn't go to Boston. But really, to drive all that way this time of year, got holiday shopping, got all this stuff with the family, I'm glad I didn't go. This is a tour. Go to a 2-night stand, go to one show, and call it quits. It's not the summer tour. So I'm gonna defend the band on that. Is that they've never been like, oh, we're gonna now, yeah, right. Tickets were $9 plus fees on StubHub for Cville. So it's like, even if you went to night one, okay, yeah, and you went to DC, and maybe you bought your tickets in advance, but if you bought your tickets in advance, you probably paid face. And if you went last minute on a whim, a lot of fans were doing that. They're like, hey, I'm feeling the energy of DC. I'm going to Cville. Or you know what? I'm feeling the energy of Cville 1 and 2. I live towards that area, but I'm going to go to DC. I'm going to go out of my way, get off of work, go to DC. You can't be mad because, again, that's what the band has always been like that. Now, let's talk about Charlottesville night 1. The fish tender, and John, you can comment. How did you think that was? The Big Eye Fish, the bartender. I didn't get a fish tender at SPAC, but I got a taste of both of those songs. Love them both. I wish Big Eye Fish had the feel of the Lily White Sessions a little more, but the band, it's not in that era anymore. And Dave, those recordings, the history of it, it wasn't the best moments in his life. So yeah, John said it's a good start. I think that was a big moment. And then what Buddy does in Bartender, and he didn't do it as much when I went in SPAC, but it was still amazing. He had the keys a little bit. Since that first SPAC performance, when they've done Bartender, he kills the keys. You look at the one in Florida, I think it was West Palm. He's playing the Chariots of Fire interpretation. Dun, 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 dun. Like, Buddy makes the end of Bartender better. And so does Jeff Coffin on the little penny whistle. But that the fish tender is dope. And then you have a That Girl Is You Preservation Hall Jazz Band too. And I know John, he told me he hasn't been so high on night 1, but I mean, night 1's, when you go to a night 1, it is hit or miss. But I thought just having that Big Eye Fish and the bartender was amazing. and then just looking at the set again, I wasn't there, but to see what they did for that, and then also again to have the That Girl Is You with the Preservation Hall, you get a sweet emotion. One song could have, yeah, okay. So he, and I can kind of see it looking at the set. One song could have, yeah, Pig or the Stone, yeah. And I was wondering because again we got that at Mohegan, we got the Stone. I'm like maybe he's gonna do it night in one of these nights in Cville, but Mohegan got the only Stone. So I mean I'm a little happy, we got it. But I wish other fans could get it. I'm not one of those people only play it in my city. Some of those people who say that, no, let the good stuff be played more and more. Yeah, but a Stone like a Stone in the 41 at the top of that. Take out Samurai Cop. So John says the shows felt very casual, fan friendly, yeah, and you look at the sets. Don't Drink the Water, the 41, Samurai Cop is that song about family. So I can see that. You got a Nancy's. You got well. Here's the thing I like about the end of the of night one. You get a So Right and you get a Nancy's into Gray Street. Yeah, Gray Street is a generic song. You and Me is a generic song. YM is to me is a generic song. And Bayou, it's good with Buddy now, but to go Sledgehammer and then you have Don't Drink the Water, just So Right to YM, You and Me, dancing is great. Like, okay, I can kind of see that. Like, yeah, one song you take out a YIM and you put something in there. I know they played Say Goodbye the next night, but if you put like something else there, you take out You and Me and you put a What You Are. I mean, or put something special. I agree with John. I wasn't there. I'm using his account. And thank you for sharing, John. He sent me photos, sent me stuff, opinions about that because I can't be everywhere. Okay, I can't be in Charlottesville when I don't have any vacation days. Well, no, I have vacation days. I hoard my vacation days, but I couldn't take the day off because it was already booked for my job that I do, my role in insurance. They need people here to help with the claims, and I had to be there. But anyway, I can see night one, only one Preservation Jazz Hall song. Yep, and John saying 2019, yep, got to start planning for 20. And I told people, go to one showing and save your rest of your money for 2019, or go to a two-night stand. Go to a two-night stand and save for 2019. I tried to tell you guys, and people still were like, oh, I'm going to chase. I'm feeling good. Oh, no. You're going to. The band, again, is trying to master stuff, and they throw, fun things here and there. Now, night two of Cville, I mean, this thing was amazing. And this is where doing that count, like John said, one song, making or breaking it. I mean, before you get to the encore, you have a Graves, you have a Crush, you have a Burning Down the House. Yeah, John. Yeah, you always get. But the thing is, John. Again, this band is not fit. I can't say it enough, and John understands that because he's been going to. He still knows. He understands. He's saying I'm getting burned for trying to chase shows. But fans, you're not gonna get a Fish style play out the set list. Dead and Company. Every time I see Dead and Company, I look at the last three shows, and they really won't repeat anything when they come to my city, or I go down to City Field in Queens or somewhere else. They've never been that, and at this point in their career, they're not gonna do that. It's too exhausting. The band plays. Jam bands, to me, they have energy. It was easier to plan when they sound check. Yeah, that's true, John. But also they don't play stuff on sound check. But yeah, they do. Some of the stuff they sound check and don't play. But yeah, but people don't have access anymore. I think that's the biggest thing. Someone leaked the sound check from I think Columbus, but Columbus. The thing with Columbus, I think those were boosters or certain people that have Ohio State money that they're putting into the school or putting into the Buckeyes football or whatever programs. But I saw someone online with their phone kind of hiding it as they walked into sound check and then they put it back in their pocket or something. I think Ohio State, because it's a school like that. Now, Virginia doesn't have that same money and wealth. In Cville, they always play there. But Ohio State, for their venue, because DMB really, maybe they played there one other time or they haven't played there in a while. They let, I think, alumni, boost, whoever who put money into the school go into that sound check. 2016, yeah. But they let people in Columbus, that's not Nationwide Arena where the Blue Jackets play. This is the Scottenstein or whatever center, Value City Center, whatever it's called, where the Buckeyes basketball and hockey play. So it wasn't Nationwide Arena. It was actually the Ohio State Arena on campus. And again, when on campus, Cville always gets it. They're not as big of a money school like a Michigan. Where's my guy Patrick? I think who always says go blue. But it's not a Michigan or Ohio State where that's deep pockets that can get access to shows like that. Hey, oh, you spend 50,000 in donations, come to the sound check with Dave Matthews. You know, that's what I mean. I think that's why we got it set. But anyway, going back, you have a grave, a crush, burning down the house, rhyme and reasons, and ants fake into Joe Avery's blues to ants. To me, that's a great set of songs to come through and experience before you even get to the encore. And one thing I listened to Say Goodbye from this show, and shout out to John for giving me a taper version of it earlier today, but I had listened to it on DMB Hub as well. And Say Goodbye, I think I realized it when I realized it now that I've experienced it live. I never had full band Say Goodbye until this year. I had Dave and Tim in 2017. So listening to it live, what makes Say Goodbye so great, I think I realized, is when Jeff goes on to the flute and Rashawn is reduced. And this is not to say Rashawn doesn't have great parts in this band. It's not to say that Rashawn hasn't done some of these remixes. He's literally like a DJ remixing some of the outros and intros. That's a lot of Rashawn's directing. And everyone else is just such great. They catch on to what he wants to do. But it's nice to not have as much horn, to have Jeff on flute. And what happens? You hear Dave's guitar. Now, yeah, you can hear Dave's guitar in every song. But Dave's guitar shines more. Carter's drums is a bigger part of it. And you have a little bit of bass behind it. And you have Buddy playing the keys. It's nice that it has that core four or that core DMB sound of when Roy, Dave, Carter, Fonzie Fonz, and Boyd were really the mainstay band. So that's the core five, I guess. But I'm thinking of the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan. The core four: Jeter, Posada, I think Pettit, and someone I can't remember. So many good players. But it had that feeling of like listening to a show from the late 90s, just because you could hear there wasn't as much electric. Tim is chilled out, and you have Dave's guitar really shining through. The bass lines are behind it quietly. The flute does not blast at you. It's beautifully high treble, and it complements Dave's guitar range and his singing. And I think that's what I would like more of the band to do, is give us that sound. Rashawn, again, he's an amazing player, but let's have some times where he doesn't go too hard on the horn. And he's certain songs he's off of completely, and he just does vocals. Let's have more of that of this band instead of having the blaring horns, the blaring sax all the time. And that's what Say Goodbye, listening to it live this tour for the first full band Say Goodbye, and then listening to it here for Cville Night 2, it was a big thing. Now, here's where we're going to end this video. And I'm hoping, and I can't really say much, but I'm hoping to do some have a special conversation with some fellow DMBers that do release audio about Dave Matthews Band shows. I'm hoping to have something special to have more input on as kind of more of a panelist. Hopefully that'll come to fruition. But I want to just end with this complaints about the Christmas song fiasco. Christmas song was played both nights. Yes, that's true. But for people to be pissed about it, people to be upset about it, that's very petty given the set you have. I could understand if the set didn't have as much hits. Again, Lie in Our Graves, Crush, Burning Out. Even take away Crush, because some people don't like Crush, whatever. I mean, not they don't like it, but it's like it is sometimes played a lot depending on the tour. But Burning Down the House, Rhyme and Reason with Lawler, and I just listened to that again. Shout out to my guy John Dix getting me a taper version. And then the Ants fake into the Joe Avery's to Ants with the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Again, it reminds me of some of the hip-hop shows I've been to where the whole squad is on stage and people are just going nuts, spitting lines. Like, it's just a moment where it's pretty cool. So, I mean, when you have a set like that, to be petty where fans are like, oh, well, we got Christmas song back-to-back nights. What do you want, Samurai Cop twice? Do you want the band to play, which I said on Twitter, do you want the band to play another throwaway? Sure, yeah, they could have played a What You Are, they could have played a Last Stop and the Two-Step and the Halloween, but one thing you have to be realistic with this band in this portion of its career and in general, okay? The band goes on some of these amazing runs and then they play a Dig in the Ditch or Where Are You Going? And those, some people love those songs too. But the band has to do a balance of energy and the was leaked online by Crush. Okay, so that set was leaked online. Okay, but the thing is, you can't expect the band to have certain runs. I mean, you look at the main set. They get you have a warehouse, you have a burning down house, a say goodbye, a you might die trying, you can't stop. A rhyme and reason's a little slower. Lawler takes more energy, but a lie in our graves. You have a Jimmy thing, which again exhausts the band of its energy. You can't expect them to have so much energy and then have a killer encore one spot. So they're gonna repeat a song, okay? But then after that song they repeat, you get a two-step into Halloween, both of them at time clocked in around 6 minutes or so. That is awesome. That is the best. I mean, I don't care what you get before. You get a two-step into Halloween, just be happy. And I know 99% of the fans are happy, actually 95%. But that 5% of fans that goes to the show, that's pissed about it, that's mad about it. I'm not saying you don't have to like, okay, yeah, they could have done that. But they're being outwardly upset that a song was repeated. Okay? If you get $1 million, if you get, and something else happens in your life, but your Amazon Prime box doesn't get there in 2 days, don't complain about the Amazon Prime box not getting there in 2 business days. It gets there in 4 business days. You just won $1 million and you let's say you won a house or something. And this is just a stupid scenario I'm making up on the fly. But if certain things break your way, who cares about that? And again, I treat this like I treat my sports Flyers fan, and our coach just got fired. And it's not a good year this year, but I still love my sports. If my team, so the Flyers, one of the issues they've had is they've had issues giving up a lot of goals, okay? And they've actually blown a lot of leads, and it's hurting my heart talking about this. But if the Flyers give up a lot of goals, but they win 10-8, and one of their players who's in a scoring slump, who's a star player we're overpaying for, or paying a lot of money for, scores 3 of those goals or 2 of those goals. Forget the fact that our goalie gave up 8 goals. Our star player is back on the wagon of producing points, and we just won 10-8. You have to give and take with the band like this. That's not Fish. It's not Humphreys McGee. It's not some band that plays out the set list. So just be appreciative of what they did. And again, I looked at, just put these numbers in because people are saying, oh, a lot of songs repeated. 10 from again, Philly to Washington, 11 from Washington to Cville. But 4 liberations this tour. In 2012, 0 out of 32, 0 out of 25 in 2010. So 4 out of 59 songs on the liberation list were liberated. Yes, a lot of them are in the first couple shows, but that's not the point. The point is they gave you more liberations. There's different songs played. 247 were played in 2010. 68 of them were unique. Similar tour this year, around the same amount of shows. 221 songs played, 64 or so. All right, so let me go back to the final number. Oh, no, that's it, because there were no tour debuts. Oh, no, there was. Hold on. I think it's 65. I think it's 65 now because we got Halloween. And 66. It may be 60. Let me go back. Let me check. Shout out to the DMB Almanac. I'm going to check it real quick. So we got, let's see, 2018 fall. And then songs. So 67. Oh, wait. So 67. Okay. So that means there were 243 songs played this tour. Song performances. 67 of them, let me update my numbers here. I'm a little spreadsheet. 67 of them were played uniquely. This 2010, which was an amazing year for this band, hella big whiskey, but 247 songs played. A couple more songs and one more unique song played. 247 songs versus 243. So 4 more songs, and you got 1 more unique song played. What's the problem? What's the issue when you have just 1 less song played? And plus the songs that you got a bunch of say goodbyes. You got some burning down the houses. You got one Captain, sure. You got one Cortez though. You got a Cortez the Killer, and you have a lot of songs. You got some bartenders. Again, it's just be grateful for what you got. And yeah, Satellite was played a lot. PMP to Rapunzel was played a lot. But it's Rapunzel. It's a really well played song. Again, yes, it can be repetitive if you're chasing songs, but don't chase these tours in the winter. So just I think you got to be grateful for what you got. Three, you never knows. Okay, yeah, sure, 4 or 5 would have been really dope, but three, you never knows. I mean, hey, that's pretty nice. You got 6 here on outs, and the number one thing about this tour, I cannot say this enough. The number one thing about this tour is you get a balance. Most of the shows were either 3 or 4 Come Tomorrow songs versus 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of a Big Whiskey in 2010. Yes, Big Whiskey came out a couple years before, but you only had about 7 to 10. I mean, you had 7 to 10 on some of these shows where Big Whiskey in 2010 was being played years after. And then Away from the World, I know it's an album year, you got to promote the album, but there's no reason why 7 songs in Mohegan in 2012 when I went should have been Away from the World. That and get Away from the World a couple songs, do 4 or 5 at most. And that's what Come Tomorrow did. 3 or 4 a night. You got Here on Out to be played a little more. If the percentage of Here on Out on this song in this tour compared to the summer tour is higher. And you got one When I'm Weary without my homie Batson. Shout out to Mr. Batson, who helped those sessions with the '06 sessions become what they were. And he says that there's a better versions of the Batson sessions, but he's respectfully not going to release those because that ruins his relationship and reputation if he releases stuff that the band does not want released. But you got to take what you can from this. And I hope to do a D&B year wrap up as well. But that's all I got for today. I do have to get going on some other things. But thank you for the support. Again, John Dix, Typical D&B. Johnny Driscoll, my guy who I met at Mohegan, bought me a drink. Thank you for everyone that I met throughout this fall tour process or talked to more, even if I didn't meet you. Typical D&B, it was a great time to hang out with you at a show, literally in the same section. And you get to come down by me because the people next to me, I don't know. They must have been gambling. They just never showed up to their physical seats, or they maybe slipped down lower. They got upgraded by the casino. I don't know. But then Typical D&B sat by me. A couple other fans around us were really nice. And thank you again for the fans. I think one dude noticed me for sure after the show, and I can't remember your name, but thank you for just saying some kind words and then meeting some of the people at the meetup very briefly. But again, meeting some of you guys at the meetup, it was nice. It's nice to see other fans. I'm behind my computer saying blah, 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 talking about a lot of stuff, complaining about a lot of stuff, criticizing and hollering back. But it's nice to actually talk to people in real life and just have good conversations, positive conversations. But that's all I got. At ConcertViz34 on Twitter, at ConcertViz34 on Instagram, and that's about it. But thank you guys for supporting this. I'm out.